America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
Outgoing President Donald Trump is facing his final day in office with the lowest approval rating in his 4-year term. A poll which comes from CNN has revealed just 34% of Americans approve of Trump's presidency.
After an initial 12-hour lockout following Wednesday's riots at the U.S. Capitol. The company, run by Jack Dorsey, saying after a close review of recent tweets from the real Donald Trump account and the context around them, we have permanently suspended the account due to the risk of further incitement of violence.
We've just witnessed a truly solemn moment in American history. The House of Representatives has reached the threshold for making Donald J. Trump the only president of the United States to be impeached for a second time.
So help you God?
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
There's a full review of the previous administration's harmful and counterproductive immigration policies, basically across the board. This is not about freedom or personal choice. It's about protecting yourself and those around you.
The president is ordering nearly all federal workers and employees of contractors that do business with the federal government get vaccinated within 75 days, eliminating their option to be tested instead of getting shots. Employees who refuse could be punished, even fired.
In all 50 states in the District of Columbia to seek to terminate the presidency and maybe save her life. When tens of millions of women vote this year, fastest way to restore Roe than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line. I've concluded that it's time to end America's longest war. It's time for American troops to come home. The United States will begin our final withdrawal, begin it on May 1 of this year. We'll not conduct a hasty rush to the exit. We'll do it responsibly, deliberately, and safely.
Let's now begin this broadcast with the latest developments from Afghanistan, the third largest city. The oasis of Afghanistan has fallen. The Taliban takes over the 11th provincial capital of Afghanistan. The government security forces had to withdraw.
The Bagram military base built by the Americans has been left abandoned.
Still a lot of pandemonium outside the airport.
Well, there is, but look, but no one's being killed right now. God forgive me if I'm wrong about that, but no one's being killed right now.
Afghanistan, where a 13th U.S. service member has now died following a suicide bombing attack at the airport in Kabul.
Starting with that chaos following the horrific attack outside the Kabul airport. This is now the deadliest attack on U.S. forces in Afghanistan in more than a decade.
And this is just in. For the very first time, we are getting a look at new video showing the Taliban inside the Afghan presidential palace there in Kabul. You can see here, if you look at this video, a number of armed men celebrating and even sitting in the chair that Afghan President Ghani relinquished just hours ago.
No, I'm asking you a question. Because before... No, wait a minute. I'm asking you a question. Is that accurate, the best...
About, but Mr. President, respectfully, since I don't think that the issue that do you think that people have an issue with pulling out of Afghanistan or just the way that things have happened?
But the Vice President's agreed
to be the point person on immigration.
Madam Vice President, thank you. I gave you a tough job.
There's no question that this is a challenging situation.
And Vice President and border czar Kamala Harris facing some backlash.
What he said about Harris and immigration was not true. She was never appointed border czar.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar by President Biden.
People are going to have to counter the misinformation. You already hear folks talking about the border czar. She wasn't the border czar.
President Biden tapped Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, to be the border czar.
Now, she wasn't the border czar. That's what Republicans label.
Should I do it?
Do not come.
I'm gonna do it.
Do not come.
I'm going to come.
On ICE's non-detained docket, they're currently tracking 425,000 non-citizens who have been convicted of a crime. Of that number, over 13,000 non-citizens have convictions for homicide and are on the non-detained docket, meaning they're roaming the country right now. On top of that, there are another 15,811 non-citizens convicted of sexual assault.
Brandon, you also told me, as you can hear the chants from the crowd, let's go, Brandon. Brandon, you told me you were going to kind of hang back those first two stages and just watch.
Overall inflation is up nearly 16% from January 2021 when Biden took office to last month. Grocery prices also up nearly 20%.
We're looking at a giant war in February right now. I predict the Russians are going to roll in.
Of a Russian invasion of Ukraine, and now we're learning that Vladimir Putin has 110,000 troops amassed on the border.
Wednesday, chiefs of the Donetsk People's Republics, Denis Pashlin, and the Luhansk People's Republic, Leonid Pashchnik, appealed to Russian President Vladimir Putin to request assistance. According to the press secretary of the Kremlin, the appeal consists of a request of assistance to repel aggressions from the Ukrainian armed forces in Donbass.
Russia will be held accountable if it invades, and it depends on what it does. It's one thing if it's a minor incursion and then we end up having a fight about what to do and not do, etc.
Largest invasion of a neighboring country in Europe since World War II. The Russian military attacking from the south, the north, the east, taking out military installations.
Принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции. Ее цель – защита людей, которые на протяжении 8 лет подвергаются издевательствам, геноциду со стороны киевского режима. И для этого мы будем стремиться к демилитаризации и денацификации Украины, а также преданию суду тех, кто совершил многочисленные кровавые преступления против мирных жителей, в том числе и граждан Российской Федерации.
There are a lot of bad things, like going to Idaho and saying, welcome to the state of Florida. I really love it. In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
But the former president wrote that a, quote, large group of FBI agents is at his property. He describes it as a siege, calling the raid unannounced.
Election interference case out of Georgia.
Charging Donald J. Trump with conspiring to defraud the United States, conspiring to disenfranchise voters, and conspiring and attempting to obstruct an official proceeding.
New York jury has found former President Donald Trump liable for sexually abusing writer E. Jean Carroll in a Manhattan department store in the 1990s, but not liable for her alleged rape.
The word rape carries so many sexual connotations. This was not sexual. It hurt.
But I think most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
Let's take a short break.
Think of the fantasies.
We're just going to take a quick break. If you can stick around, we'll talk more on the other side.
You're fascinating to talk to.
And Sumi, I can just tell you, Donald Trump has been found guilty on count 1. Donald Trump, the first former president to be convicted in a criminal trial.
So as the president said, he will go to East Palestine.
Meanwhile,
The Biden administration should ensure that every family has the option of moving and homes and everything else until this thing is straightened out. I do want to especially thank some of the incredible people that helped us because we're bringing thousands of bottles of water, Trump water, actually, most of it. Some of it we had to go to a much lesser quality water.
President Biden is going to finally visit East Palestine, Ohio, on the one-year anniversary after that toxic train derailment.
This is shipping $6 billion to Ukraine for weapons and equipment.
$60 billion would go to Ukraine in its fight against Russia.
Wagner forces waving flags triumphantly atop of devastated buildings in Bakhmut. Leader of the mercenary group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, seen here congratulating his men outside the train station in the center, claims Russian forces have now captured.
Their leader vowed to march on Moscow in the gravest threat to Vladimir Putin's rule. It triggered heightened security, global scrutiny, and this extraordinary statement from the president.
This is a criminal, adventuristic campaign. It is equivalent to armed mutiny.
The last hour, it's been confirmed that Yevgeny Prigozhin, head of the Wagner Group, was on board the private jet that crashed near Moscow.
Hawaii's governor now confirming 89 people have died, but he says they should expect that number to rise. The Maui wildfire, now the deadliest wildfire to hit the U.S. in 100 years.
We were looking at the amount of money that was accidentally sent to Ukraine. Like they oversent $6 billion. And then I said, well, how much would it cost to rebuild every house in the Maui fire? And it's $5 billion, $5 billion something.
Yeah. She says, well, someone said, well, what are you doing for Maui? She's like, oh, we're giving a one-time $700 payment to everybody who's been impacted by the wildfire.
After revolutionizing the space race and electric cars, the world's richest man is now promising a Twitter makeover, renaming his own account Chief Twit and proclaiming the bird is freed. Elon Musk carried a kitchen sink into Twitter HQ this week, tweeting, "Let that sink in." Then fired senior execs once closing the $44 billion deal.
And you see, obviously, that Trump's way out in front. DeSantis is sitting there now over 20%, but it was tighter at the start of the year. But there is a big line there after DeSantis. Everybody else is mid-single digits or lower.
8 GOP presidential candidates will participate in this election's first debate. But frontrunner former President Donald Trump won't be there.
I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax. The climate change agenda is a hoax. And we have to declare independence for it. And the reality is, the anti-carbon agenda is the wet blanket on our economy. And so the reality is, more people are dying of bad climate change policies than they are of actual climate change.
Governor Haley, are you bought and paid for?
Is down by 98% in the last century.
Listen. Hold on.
I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here. And the last person in one of these debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, "What's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here?" was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing on stage tonight.
Come over and give me a hug. Give me a hug just like you did to Obama.
The same type of amateur.
And you'll help elect me just like you did to Obama, too. Give me that
the same type of amateur.
Hold on.
I also want to close with one message to the Democrat Party. End this farce that Joe Biden is going to be your nominee. We know he's not even the president of the United States. He's a puppet for the managerial class. So have the guts to step up and be honest about who you're actually going to put up so we can have an honest debate. Biden should step aside, end his candidacy now so we can see whether it's Newsom or Michelle Obama or whoever else.
All right,
just tell us the truth so we can have an honest debate.
On their own during the debate, and we're keeping track of their opinions. And by the end of the night, you had Vivek Ramaswamy out of this watch party of about 30 people getting 5 votes. You had Ron DeSantis getting 2, both Nikki Haley and Chris Christie having a sole 1 vote. And get this, former President Donald Trump, despite not being on the stage, got 18.
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer in the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you.
A few moments later.
Chair Ronna McDaniel announcing this morning that she will leave her post on March 8th.
And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. You think the Democrats, and we've got Kristen Welker here, you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate? They wouldn't do it. And so the fact of the matter is, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr. Roberts.
This is how we get our country back. We need accountability because this media rigged the 2016 election. They rigged the 2020 election with the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
and they're going to rig this election.
Your time is up.
Accountability.
Let me turn to Governor Christie. Why you?
With the exceptions of Nikki Haley and Joe Biden, who still support this, what I believe is pointless war in Ukraine. And I think those with foreign policy experience, one thing that Joe Biden and Nikki Haley have in common is that neither of them could even state for you 3 provinces in eastern Ukraine that they want to send our troops to actually fight for. Look at that. This is what I want people to understand. These people have, she has no idea what the hell the names of those provinces are, but she wants to send our sons and daughters and our troops and our military equipment to go fight it. So reject this myth that they've been selling you, that somebody had a cup of coffee stint at the UN and then makes $8 million after, has real foreign policy experience. It takes an outsider to see this through. Look at the blank expression. She doesn't know the names of the provinces that she wants to actually fight for. And there's her puppet masters right there. The donors right there that are playing her like the puppet master. Nikki, I don't have a woman problem. You have a corruption problem. And I think that that's what people need to know. Nikki is corrupt. This is a woman who will send your kids to die so she can buy a bigger house. This is the problem. Using identity politics more effectively than Kamala Harris is a form of intellectual fraud.
Well, we have some breaking news to get to. The Supreme Court has overturned the Colorado decision to remove former President Donald Trump from the 2024 ballot.
Bloodshed, horror, and utter grief left behind in Israel after a surprise attack by Hamas militants leaves more than 1,000 dead.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
אנחנו במלחמה, לא במבצע, לא בסבבים, במלחמה. הבוקר חמאס פתח במתקפת פתע רצחנית נגד מדינת ישראל ונגד אזרחיה.
It informed him that the White House had notified the archives that documents bearing classification markings were identified at the office of the Penn Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement, located in Washington, D.C.
Right now, it's 8 p.m. here on the East Coast, and we have a major election alert at this hour, which means doors have just closed at caucus sites across Iowa. Republicans there kicking off the process of picking the next president of the U.S.
12 seconds later.
We want to stand by for breaking news. I think we have a call. And we do. NBC News can now project that Donald Trump has won the Iowa caucus. The first vote's just coming in with Trump leading Haley and DeSantis by double digits. You can see right there, Donald Trump, 14 delegates already awarded.
Now going forward, he will have my full endorsement for the presidency. And I think we're going to do the right thing for this country.
Suspending my campaign.
To suspend my campaign.
We want to thank the great people of Iowa. Thank you. We love you all.
Another poll shows that former President Trump is leading the 2024 race by more than 5 points. A new National Harris X Messenger survey finds 48% of voters support Trump compared to 41% for Joe Biden. That's a 7-point deficit. Add Robert F. Kennedy Jr. into the mix, and he takes 12% of the vote, expanding Trump's lead to 9 points. Now, yesterday, RFK Jr. announced that he has gathered enough signatures to appear on New Hampshire's general election ballot in November.
The DOJ report said that Biden had exhibited poor memory when interviewed by his ghostwriter, Mark Zwanitzer, back in 2017, that he spoke painfully slow. and struggled to remember events or to decipher his own notes. Further, that in his interview with investigators last fall, Biden's memory was even worse. That he did not remember when he was vice president, or when his term began, or when, within several years, Beau had passed. That's why he said that Biden would present himself to a jury as a sympathetic, well-meaning, elderly man with a poor memory.
President Biden, something the special counsel said in his report is that one of the reasons you were not charged is because, in his description, you are a well-meaning, elderly man with a poor memory.
I'm well-meaning, and I'm an elderly man, and I know what the hell I'm doing. I've been president. I put this country back on its feet. I don't need his recommendation. It's totally out.
How bad is your memory, and can you continue as president?
My memory is so bad, I let you speak. That's
Do you feel your memory has gotten worse, Mr. President?
My memory is not gotten. My memory is fine. My memory. Take a look at what I've done since I become president. None of you thought I could pass any of the things I got passed. How'd that happen? You know, I guess I just forgot what was going on.
Watch me. Many American people have been watching, and they have expressed concerns about your age.
That is your judgment. That is your judgment. That is not the judgment of the press.
They express concerns about your mental acuity. They say that you are too old. Mr. President, in December, you told me that you believe there are many other Democrats who could defeat Donald Trump. So why does it have to be you now? What is your answer to that question?
Because I'm the most qualified person in this country to be president of the United States and finish the job I started.
Do you believe that? Why are you confusing the names of world leaders?
Thank you, everyone. I did not share classified information. I did not share it.
With your ghostwriter.
With my ghostwriter, I did not. Guarantee you did not.
But the special counsel said in the report
he
that
did not say that.
Okay.
He did not say that.
But Mr. President,
let me answer your question. The fact of the matter is, what I didn't want repeated, I didn't want him to know, and I didn't read it to him, was I had written a long memorandum to President Obama why we should not be in Afghanistan.
The
hostage negotiation. Look. I'm of the view, as you know, that the conduct of the response in Gaza, in the Gaza Strip, has been over the top. I think that, as you know, initially, the president of Mexico, Sisi, did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian material to get in. I talked to him. I convinced him to open the gate. I talked to Bibi to open the gate on the Israeli side.
The Libertarian Party should nominate Trump for President of the United States. Whoa. That's nice. That's nice. Only if you want to win. Only if you want to win. Maybe you don't want to win. Maybe you don't want to win. Thank you, D-Roy. Thank you. No, only do that if you want to win. If you want to lose, don't do that. Keep getting your 3% every 4 years. And if you vote for me on day one, I will commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht, who was sentenced of time served.
He can't do anything. He's ruining our country, and I don't think he's going to run. I don't know if it's donors or otherwise. It might be his family. It might be something. I don't think he's going to run. But I'd like to call for immediately debates. I'd like to debate him now because we should debate. We should debate for the good of the country. So I will officially on your show call.
Oh, wow. Look at that. We're breaking news, Mr. President. Donald J. Trump calls for debates against Joe Biden. That's great.
So
We're breaking some news here.
Problems, Dan, and get him to change his ways, but I am officially doing that.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. Since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
And And we understand, Jose, that former President Trump has also committed to this date as well. We're learning June 27th will likely be when this debate takes place between former President Trump and President Biden in Atlanta. It will be hosted by CNN, which just announced the terms have been agreed to in terms of, again, date and location by both campaigns. There's still a lot of open questions about some of the other components to a debate like this, which is taking place far earlier than other general election matchups that we've seen.
Now, please welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Folks, how are you? Great to be here. Thank you.
And please welcome the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Let's begin the debate, and let's start with the issue that voters consistently say is their top concern, the economy. President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president, what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we had to do is try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought out the position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. But there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, he got $2 trillion tax cut, benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our health care system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in. They talk about that, but here's the deal: there's a lot of young women are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women.
You're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists, and people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in
Thank you,
caravans.
President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed three, and his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in and his administration, killed three American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people, that's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating, he's lying.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed three people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the two greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world, and it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything.
World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his four-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
President Trump?
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines.
So you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give you a minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge. You got to ask him, as far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden, you have a minute.
I've never heard so much foolishness.
What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took two tests, cognitive tests. I aced them. Both of them, as you know, we made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced him. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one. And one of them said they'd never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds.
Never said it was 6'4".
Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what anyway. Just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf with you if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I had, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Let's
not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to
21
turn
Let's not act like children.
You are
to
a
a
child.
specific concern that voters have about you.
He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place. Every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day it came out where it was fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
President Biden?
And debunked. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time.
We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters.
What I did, when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years.
Such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts. And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Lie! Yes.
That was painful. I love Joe Biden. I work for Joe Biden. He didn't do well at all. He did not do well at all. And he looked... I'll give you the analysis. You kind of have the old man versus the con man. I can walk you through how I'm supposed to see it and say it, but I just want to speak from my heart. I love that guy. That's a good man. He loves his country. He's doing the best that he can. But he had a test to meet tonight to restore confidence of the country and of the base, and he failed to do that. And I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now. We're still far from our convention, and there is time for this party to figure out a different way forward if he will allow us to do that. But that was not what we needed from Joe Biden, and it's personally painful for a lot of people. It's not just panic, it's pain for what we saw tonight.
I, too, was on the phone throughout much of the debate with Obama world people, with Democrats, with people who are political operatives, with campaign operatives. My phone really never stopped buzzing throughout. And the universal reaction was somewhere approaching panic. The people who were texting with me were very concerned about President Biden seeming extremely feeble, seeming extremely weak.
We'll meet with a number of Democratic governors tomorrow. According to multiple sources, they sought the meeting to discuss their concerns in the wake of the debate, which he blamed tonight on fatigue.
February, 37% of voters said that Biden just should be running for president. Now, right after the debate, they have that number dropping to just 28%. By comparison, they asked the same question about Donald Trump post-debate. The number is 46%. Now, more specifically, in response to the debate, they asked this: what should Biden do right now in the wake of this debate? And in this CBS poll, 64%, basically 2/3 of the electorate, said he should step aside.
How did I do with the debate the other night?
Oh, amazing.
Kicked that old broken down pile of crap.
Yeah.
It's a bad guy. He just quit, you know. He's quitting the race. Is that right? Yep, I got him out of the race. And that means we have Kamala. I think she's going to be better. She's so bad. She's so pathetic. It's so amazing. It's just so fucking bad. So I just can't imagine. But can you imagine that guy dealing with Putin and the president of China, who's a fierce person? He's a fierce man, a very tough guy. And they see him. They can't. But they just announced he's probably quitting.
Good.
Yeah, that's amazing. Just keep knocking him out, right? Thank you.
I understand that. I understand that's why you want to stay in the race. But have you convinced yourself that only you can defeat him?
I convinced myself of two things. I'm the most qualified person to beat him, and I know how to get things done.
If you can be convinced that you cannot defeat Donald Trump, will you stand down?
It depends if the Lord Almighty comes out and tells me that, I might do that.
They brought him the polls and they said, you're going to lose. And he just starts screaming at the top of his lungs. And they're reporting that Jill Biden now, this is ABC reporting that Jill Biden is lashing out, freaking out, going crazy. Hunter Biden just screaming. He wakes up in the middle of the night, just starts screaming for no reason. These people are crazy. And
remember all this talk about how I don't have the black support. Come on, give me a break. Come with me. Watch. I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much more. But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce the president. Challenge me at the convention.
We had a little debate last week. Can't say it was my best performance. But ever since then, there's been a lot of speculation. What's Joe going to do? Is he going to stay in the race? Is he going to drop out? What's he going to do? Well, here's my answer. I am running and going to win again.
Last week, Pelosi reportedly told Biden that she and other Democratic lawmakers worry he's dragging down the party. She also warned him that criticism will grow louder within the party and urged him to make a decision about stepping down soon.
There's a lot of speculation lately. What's Joe Biden going to do? Is he going to stay in the race? Is he going to drop out? Here's my, I am running and we're going to win.
That Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and the $90 million was held from him. Then Cy Hirsch reports that ultimately Barack Obama gets on the phone with Joe Biden and he goes, listen, we're going to invoke the 25th Amendment and remove you. Yes, we're going to remove you from the office and we've got Kamala on board.
Hello, Butler, and hello to Pennsylvania. I'm thrilled to be back in this beautiful Commonwealth with thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots, and that's what you are, and we got to bring our country back to health, because our country is going to hell, if you haven't noticed. The world will see a vibrant Republican Party. You guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow on the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.